Hi, I'm John. So, I saw Devin Graham do a video on a 360 camera in a car. He was using the Samsung Gear 360. I have a Ricoh Theta S, and I thought I would do a similar experiment and see what the results were. He was specifically looking at what the video would be like with a bright exterior and a darkened interior. So let's see what the Ricoh does on my drive home. So right now I am in a garage, so fairly dark lighting all around. I will be exiting out and then driving home, so we'll see how it is when I get home. He also reported some issues with overheating, and so I wanted to see what the Ricoh did. The Samsung will have better visual quality. It is a 4K 360 camera. The Ricoh Theta S is only a 1080p 360 camera, so there's 4x less clarity in the image, but hopefully we can see what the exposure and other things are. So let's give this a shot. So my main focus is just going to be on driving, and I will talk a little bit on the way, but primarily it is just to see what how it is visually. You're looking out that way, kind of where I'm, the primary direction is going to be where I am headed. It's kind of funny the way that these 360 cameras stitch the video together with the two lenses back to back. So the primary lens, the front-facing lens, is done as a full image shot, and then there are two what do they call them? The lines where they're joined. And then the back-facing camera is actually split in half. So from here over is going to be on one part of the image, and from here over to the other direction is going to be the other part of the image. Stitch lines, that's the terminology I was looking for. So when you see my hand go this way, you'll see the hand go around and around this way. The other way, you'll see it go around as well. So in the 360 equirectangular projection, I think is what they call it, where the 360 sphere image is flattened out onto the 1080p or 4K video image. The front-facing camera takes up the middle half of the image, and then the rear-facing camera is split in half with two stitch lines, and then two halves of the video image there, and then it's merged on the back side on the 360 viewer. So kind of an interesting way to do it and look at it. I just noticed that watching the video, because I watched Devin's first 360 video that he put out a couple days ago on my Fire TV, which obviously does not do 360 video display. All that's shown on the screen on my Amazon Fire TV is the full equirectangular projection of the image. So in that view, I was, like I said, I was just noticing that the way that the projection is mapped onto the spherical 360 for viewing on a cell phone or VR rig is the front-facing camera takes up the middle half of the image, and then the rear-facing cameras take up the left and right quarters of the image with the stitch lines there. Just an interesting technical thing. So I'm driving now. Car is somewhat shaded. The outside is obviously what the outside is. Only main difference is I have my skylight sunroof open. Well, the sunroof's not open, but I have a glass roof up there, so it's letting in some light. So we'll see. I think I'm not sure how this camera deals with exposure changes. The only few times that I've used it in the past have been with a fixed lighting situation in a wedding setting. So fixed lighting within a room, not much changing. I was doing long static positioning shots to get imagery of the wedding venue. So I too, like Devin, am interested in the 360 cinematography and technology and what can be done with it. My big kind of question around the whole 360 video is really the cinematography stuff. How can we generate a 360 video and have it be a good user experience for the viewer? There has to be, the crew, the person running the camera, the technical staff that might be on hand. That's a cool car going by over there, and the pink one too. In traditional cinematography, the crew and everybody else has a certain plane behind which they can stand to be outside of the shot. In the 360 world, there is no place to be non-visible. So I'm kind of curious as to how that'll be. Does it mean that the camera has to be autonomous in some manner, that it's on a motorized platform that can roll by itself? The other question is, a lot of times when you do tracking shots or motion video in traditional cinematography, you have the camera on a dolly on rails. Can't have that, because you would see the rails, you'd see the cart and everything else around, in the rest of the shot. The answer just may be that all of that is taken out in post in the video processing to remove those elements, which I agree is probably one of the ways that it's going to have to be done. But for me, just an open question. My editing skills right now don't allow me to do that, so that's why I'm kind of curious. The way I set it up for the wedding that I was at was the tripod and everything was set before I would set the shot. I would start the shot well in advance. Oh! So that's the thing. So bumpy roads, little gorilla pod, couldn't quite handle both the acceleration and the bumps. To be fair, when Devin did his shots, he taped the camera down with some gaffer's tape. Didn't bring my tape with me when I came out to the car to kind of do this, so there's that. My apologies. I'm getting into a shady part of my drive now, so it'll probably be similar lighting outside and in. I'm just noticing the camera is really sliding around as I go around curves and bumps. I'll try to just have a hand on the tripod to keep it from just walking all across and flying you guys off my dash. So I'll tell you a little bit about my drive. I work in Chevy Chase, Maryland, just right outside the DC line on Wisconsin Avenue, and I live in Mount Pleasant in Washington, D.C., and my drive takes me, or I choose to drive my way home and to work via this route through Rock Creek Park. I love this drive. This is kind of the hidden gem of Washington, D.C. So here I'm in a very shady portion, so it'll be dark all around, outside and in. So we'll see how the exposure compensation is for that. But yeah, I drive this little windy, twisty path to work and home. It's kind of a nice little escape while I'm on my commute. It doesn't feel like I am in the city, which is rather nice. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm gonna try and edit it out. I'll edit out as much as I can, so that you just kind of get a feel for what the exposure is, as it's compensating for the bright exterior and the shady, or darker interior of my vehicle. Kind of curious to see how the camera handles the vibration of the video will be like. I noticed the camera kind of wobbling a bit. I can kind of expect that to be somewhat of an issue in the video playback. The camera does have a gyroscope inside, so they can do automatic correction for inverted recording. But I don't think it does any compensation for vibration or tilt or drift or anything else once a recording session has been initiated. So I think it's primarily to know which way is down to orient the video properly if you were to mount this upside down on, say, a quadcopter or similar. So what else is there to say? I mean, I think that the Ricoh will have much more video shake and kind of vibration, solely because of its form factor. It is more of a vertical camera. It's more kind of a candy bar shape, whereas the Samsung Gear 360 is a very small, compact sphere. And once that's mounted on a little tripod, I would expect that there not to be so much vertical and horizontal disturbance from bumps and such as you go, with the center of mass being much lower. So we'll see in post how this goes. I expect the video to be pretty good. From looking at the tripod, quite shaky, but otherwise it looks like there's probably been sufficient light all the way through, as long as the cameras have been able to adjust their exposure, which I do believe the Ricoh does auto exposure. It doesn't just set it at whatever the exposure was when you first started recording.